Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just had a package arrive today, thank God. I bet you can guess what it is. It's our new 7cm housing. Now, I've got them both out here. I've got the old one and the new one here for a comparison. If you've seen my last video, we did a little bit of a rundown on how to port the wastegate flapper, the little opening back on this underneath here, to avoid our boost creep issues, which are prone to plaguing the 16G turbochargers. This video, I wanted to show you the differences between the two housings. One is the stock housing, one is a 7cm housing. There's really not a whole lot that's different between the two of them, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the sizes, and we're going to go ahead and actually port this one correctly. We're going to throw the hot side and the cold side back together, the center section and the compressor housing, and get this thing ready to be put on the car. So first I wanted to show you guys one more time. This one is the cracked one. I know that these things are prone to cracking, but if you look, those cracks are pretty serious. They're deep, and if they stopped right there, it would have been fine, but they don't. Oh, I'll flip this heavy thing around. If you look on the inside, you can see it's pretty destroyed in there. The crack runs all the way through the exhaust inlet, straight down through the side of the hot side's exhaust tunnel there. I mean, you get the idea. I'm not going to put this thing on my car. If it was just a simple little surface crack, which I know these things all crack, it would have made it on there, but it's just so far gone that why risk it? Considering you can buy a replacement for under 150 bucks. I mean, these turbos are still pretty expensive if you're buying brand new, so I'd say I got a deal, and it's easy enough to swap these out. So there's a couple of parts you got to harvest from this section to the other. Actually, it's just one part, but let me go ahead and show you guys the differences here. Set my light down. Now, between the two of them, there aren't that many differences. It's just the 7cm exhaust inlet for this. So if you look straight across the openings here, let's get her open. Looking at 73.96 millimeters for the opening, and then you hop over here and it's the exact same size. So I mean, this thing's gonna snap right on. The V-band will fit it. It will mate up perfectly. Alright, so when you buy the 7cm housing, this is where it's a little bit wider. This is gonna help your turbo spool up a little faster. This one's obviously smaller. We'll take a look at this size here. It is stock is 53.09 millimeters. And this is called the 7cm housing, but I think it's just under 7. 62.84 millimeters. So it's significantly bigger than the stock one. So obviously that's going to help you with your spool up time. The more exhaust that you can get in and out, the better it spools. But what we want to avoid here is the boost creep. And funny enough, if you look inside of this flapper here, you can see that hole. That's pretty big in comparison to this lid. This one was listed as port matched, but here we look, it's even smaller. So I'm not sure exactly what that size is in millimeters, but we're gonna open that thing up. I mean, you can clearly see we have a lot of room to go. When we open that up, I mean, God, it's about the size of a nickel. So I'm gonna try to cut this out a little bit more. It's got a lot of overhang on this front side here, and on the side, the left side. So I'm gonna tape this flapper open. I've got some carbide bits, and I'm gonna try to grind this thing out just a little bit, open it up, and then we're gonna slap this thing back together with the compressor housing and center section. We're gonna have ourselves a 16G turbo, finally. Alright, so the first thing that I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna take a Sharpie, and I'm just going to trace around this outer diameter of the flapper to make sure that I don't take too much off on this one side here. don't want to take a lot of the meat off of this thing at all, because I bet you that's how the last one cracked so badly. It looked like it had been messed with prior to me getting it. And you know what? I don't like that kind of thing. So we'll draw a little reference line here. And as I described before in my previous video, we're not going to cut a lot on this back section because we do not want this flapper to get hung up on a bigger hole and not shut. That'll cause us to get no boost. If you look right in there, you can see that black line I just made with that Sharpie. That's pretty good distance there. It looks like we're going to take a lot more material out on this side and maybe a little bit on this side, but nothing really on the back. And then that should give us a nice relief point for the exhaust when the wastegate opens. So next I'm going to take some painter's tape and tape this lid off and tape the arm open so that we can get in here with our bits. Alright, so what we're going to use is one of our tapered coarse rotary bits. This should take a little bit of the meat off. This kit that I picked up from Harbor Freight comes with pretty much everything you're going to need. They don't take a whole hell of a lot of material off very quickly, but they will chop through this cast iron. And I'm going to probably use this ball to get the shape that I want, and the tapered bit that's already in my drill to just take out, you know, the majority of the heavy amounts of the material. And I'm going to use my Dremel little rotary kit and finish it up, smooth it out. I've also got a set of these spiral roll abrasive sanding discs, and there's an 80 and 100 grit we'll use to maybe take some more of the material off if need be. I just want to make sure that the transition is nice and smooth, because as everybody knows, high spots, rough spots, and little sharp points create hot spots, and hot spots make cracks, and we're going to try to avoid those as best as possible. We got this thing opened up enough. I'm happy with it. I didn't want to go too crazy with it because I didn't want to compromise its structure on the inside and end up with yet another cracked turbine housing. So unclamp this from the table real fast. Untape it too and show you guys the finished product. And get a light on it. Alright, we took off a good amount, maybe 2 millimeters off this left side here, all along right here, and some across the bottom, but not a whole lot, obviously. It is a little bit larger compared to those marks. It still closes nice and tight, everything is connected. I'm hoping that those couple of millimeters are going to be what saves me from the boost creep. But already this is a little bit bigger than the one that I got sitting on the floor here, the broken old one. We're going to roll with it. I don't want to go any further. So everything seats nice and tight still. So next we're going to clear off this little table, make sure there's no metal shavings and dust all over it, and we're going to throw everything back together so we can get ready to bolt this to the car. So we've got this thing all ported. You definitely want to make sure that you take some hot soapy water and you rinse this whole thing out if it's brand new from the mail. If you've freshly ordered it, if you look closely, see if I can get a light and an angle on this for you. If you look inside that groove right here, where the exhaust gases flow, there is some loose coating inside of these, and most of the time manufacturers of cast iron and metal parts tend to put a oil coating over all these things, and you don't know what kind of debris is going to be in there. So I rinsed mine out with some warm soapy water, a little Dawn, a little hot water, and it worked out great. Inside of this space where the wastegate flapper is was loaded with that coating. So here's something else I wanted to show you. If you don't plan on installing your turbo right away, you're going to want to make sure that you coat it with some sort of oil after you rinse it off with water, because if you notice on the bottom there, that orange, that's rust, and that's how fast these parts can rust once water hits them. You can see all those light spots, that little bit of discoloration. It's not shiny, that is surface rust starting. So you want to make sure that you coat this with some sort of oil. I'm actually going to use some mineral oil, which this is a tiny little bottle. It came out of a clipper set, but it's exactly what you want. First pass of drying it off, you can see how dirty this towel was. I mean, that's a lot. I'll open it up for you and show you. That's what came out of that brand new turbo. I mean, that's pretty nasty, and I'm sure you don't want that stuff sitting in there, getting in the journal bearings, then going through your engine. It's not a good time. So we're gonna make sure we keep this all nice and wiped out and clean. Even though the only thing that's gonna see oil is your center section, you just don't want that crap in there. So now I'm gonna wipe this thing down with a little bit of mineral oil, make sure it's all coated to keep it from rusting, and we're gonna put it together. Alright guys, to reiterate the filth that you will find inside of those surfaces, take a look at that. I just wiped the whole thing down. This is the other one again. I mean, there's some stuff in there, so you definitely want to make sure that you wipe them out, get it nice and clean before you try to put everything back together. And so between this old housing and the new housing, you'll notice that where the center section hooks up, there is a 3mm hole, and in the old one, it is a 2.03mm hole. This has a 2.03mm pin in it, which will not work in the new housing. So I sacrificed a Phillips head 3mm miniature screwdriver in a glasses repair kit. As you can see, it's 3 on the pin. I cut a little center section off of it and ground it down right there as a placeholder, and it is, let's see here, 7.4mm long, and that's just long enough to slide into this hole and connect to the back of the center section, which I also had to drill out that hole right there. It doesn't go all the way through. It only goes in about 1.5 millimeters deep. So I used a 1/8 inch drill bit, which is as close as I could get. And if you look here, the diameter of that is 3.07, 3.08. I mean, it's as close as we can get to 3mm on the head. So that's going to hold our center section clocked in the right direction. Now we just got to put the compressor and the turbine, everything back together, and connect our wastegate. Alright, so we got the V-band clamp put back on, and I just noticed we have one more issue here. It looks like the diameter of the wastegate, the hole on the end of the wastegate actuator arm, is different than where it connects on the flapper. And let's see, we're looking at 7.66 millimeters on the post. Oh god, that hole is small as hell. Let's see. 6.64 it looks like. So I'm gonna have to break out the drill and punch that hole out a little bit bigger. So we've got our new hole drilled at the end of the wastegate actuator arm. It went over perfectly. The pin went back in. Everything's put back together. We've got our new hot side, our old cold side and center section, all bolted back up. Don't forget we had our donor 3mm Phillips head screwdriver that we used for the pin to clock this thing. But overall, I am very happy with this. Everything spins freely on the inside. No rattle, no noise. Oh, she's a beaut. I can't wait to throw her on the car. So that's it for today's video. If you guys like it, give me a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay tuned to see me throw this thing on the car and make some more power. And if you have any comments, drop them down below. We'll talk to you guys later. Until next time.